to record or have the last part of our tutorial today, where we finish up our adventure game and are able to pick up hearts so that we can heal ourselves as we go. After this, I will probably do a few more tutorials showing you how you can turn this basic game into something like an Asteroids game, or maybe even a more Legend of Zelda style game, a number of different types of things, or we can keep score to see how long we can stay alive. So I will still do a few more tutorials that are more off the cuff that allow you to see how you can turn this one game into a variety of other games. So anyway, today we are going to learn to pick up hearts. So first, that means we need to go create a heart sprite. So we want to choose a sprite, search for a heart, select it. I'm going to go over to costumes and get rid of this red one because we want the purple one, and go back to code. We need to change the size of the heart down to, let's look at 25. That looks good. I do want it to be bigger than these ones up here because it's going to be on the screen. And the first thing I want to do is worry about having this heart show up. And what I want it to do, there's a couple of ways you could do this. You could have, when you killed one of the enemies, you could have a random chance that the heart would appear. You could just have it timed appear in various places. What we're going to do today is we're going to have the heart go on a random timer, that every now and then we make a clone of the heart, and that heart sticks around for, again, a semi-random amount of time before it disappears if your player doesn't get to it first. So that means that we need to have an event. When the flag is clicked, we need to hide the heart so that you can't see the base heart. This is just like what we did with the hippopotamuses. So we are going to hide the heart when we see it. And then we're going to set a forever loop that creates the new hearts. That's under control. And we're going to do, not seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? There it is, forever loop. And within that forever loop, we are going to wait some amount of time, and then we are going to create a clone of myself. Now, I don't want to wait 1 second. I want that to be a random amount of time. So we're going to go down to our operators, and we're going to pick a random number. I think I want that number to be between 10 and 15 seconds. I don't want the hearts to appear too often, but I don't want to have to wait forever between them either. So we play the flag, we hide the heart, and then forever we wait between 10 and 15 seconds and then create a clone. So the other thing we need to do before we can test this out is we need to have, when I start as a clone, that's under control. That's the one event flag that's under control. When I start as a clone, I need to be visible, show. That's all I'm going to do for now so that you can see how this all works. So I'm going to hit play. And we're just going to hang out here. And we're going to see that about every 10 to 15 seconds, a heart appears. Maybe I'll try and hurt a hippo while, oh, there's a heart. I can go over to it. Nothing's going to happen though, because we haven't told it to happen yet. So let's see if another heart shows up here sometime while I'm trying to shoot this hippopotamus. Oh, another one showed up right on top of that heart. So we just saw one of our problems. We don't want to just show the heart. We also want to change where it is. So we want it to go to a random position before we show it. Now I'm going to change this pick random number between 2 and 6, just so we can have a quicker visual of what's going to happen. So I'm going to hit play again. We've got a heart there, and it's in a random position. And we've got another one. And we've got more coming. Now, they're coming way too fast, but as we noted, this is just so that we can see that they're doing what we want them to do. So now, you could just leave them there, and the bat could get to them eventually. I think it's more interesting to make them disappear at a random interval, too. So I'm going to go ahead and create another part of that says I'm going to wait a certain number of seconds. And again, we're going to do that as a random amount of time. Duplicate that one. And then I'm going to delete myself. Oh, that's under control. Delete this clone. So now the heart should appear. And they should only stay there for, again, between about 2 to 6 seconds. And we're going to change these numbers. I just want to make sure that we don't have to wait forever to see it happen. So there's a heart. There's another heart. Oh, the first heart disappeared. Second heart disappeared. Third heart disappeared. So we can stop that. We see that that part's working. Now the final bit that we need to have as a detail is that when our bat touches our heart, we need to change our help so that we get help. And we could think about doing that in our bat code, but when we touch our heart, we want it to disappear. And the only way to know which heart the bat has touched is to actually have the code inside of the heart code, because this is going to be unique for every clone. And if we had all of the hearts disappear when the bat touched one heart, that would be rather frustrating. So I'm going to do another when I start as clone. And I'm going to sense for when the bat touches the heart. So I'm going to do a control so that I'm waiting until. And then I'm going to do sensing the heart is touching the player. Now, when the heart touches the player, we're going to need to send out a message. We're going to need to broadcast a message because we're going to need to change the number of hearts we have available to us, because that's how we keep track of our help. And so I'm going to broadcast a message that is under events. My message is going to be a new one, and I'm going to call it Heart Pickup. And then after I do that, I'm going to delete the clone, which is under control. So we'll test that out. We should see some hearts come in here. There, oh, and I touched it immediately because it landed almost on top of me, and we saw that it disappeared. Try and chase that one down. I got it. I even got hurt this time, a couple of times. Go chase this one down. I got it. But you'll see that they're not adding to the number of hearts I have yet because I haven't done anything with that. We're just testing to make sure that they act the way, oh, that one disappeared before I could get to it, that they act the way we want to. So I'm going to hit stop. And then I'm going to go ahead and create this heart pickup message. So I go over to my hearts, my help. And actually, I do want to go ahead and rename this one help so it doesn't get confusing. And I need to fix this so that when I pick up a heart, it does actually affect my help. So when I receive the message heart pickup, I'm going to add a heart back on. And if you recall, we do that by rotating through our costume. So if I have 4, or if I only have 2 hearts, then I'm in costume 4 and I want to be in costume 3. So I'm going to take my costume number and I'm going to subtract 1 from it. So I'm going to go back to my code and I'm going to say that when I receive a heart pickup, I'm going to adjust my looks so that I can switch my costume. And I'm going to need to get my costume number here. And I'm going to want to subtract 1 from that. That's in operators. So I'm going to say switch my costume number to my current costume number minus 1. Because there is no there's next. That's what we use to delete our hearts. But there's no previous. And so all previous really is our current costume number minus 1. Now, I know there's going to be a problem with it. I'd like you to take a moment and see if you can think of what might be a problem. And then we're going to test it, and I'm going to show you what the problem is. Let's go get this heart. Oh, I was too slow. Let's go get this heart. Look at what happened to all of my hearts. So the deal is, I looped back around to negative numbers of hearts, or to 0 hearts, to the very back of it. And so that's no good. We don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is we're first going to check to see if we are on costume number 1. And if we're on costume 1, that means we have full health, and we don't want to take away one of our costume numbers, loop around back to our final costume. Let's go look at what that is. So if we have full health and we take away 1, what Scratch does is it loops us all the way back to 6. Okay, because these are in a continuous loop, and we end up with no health. And we don't want that to happen. So before we switch our costume to our costume minus 1, we're going to put in an if statement. Okay, and there's a number of ways I could create this if statement. And I'm just going to say, if my costume number is greater than 1, then I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from it. I could also say if it's not equal to 1, I could do a number of things. This is the way I'm choosing to do it. So I want greater than, if my costume number is greater than 1, and I'm just going to duplicate this by right-clicking on it. So if my costume number is greater than 1, then I'm going to switch my costume to costume number minus 1. So let's play this real quick. Wait for a heart to show up, try and get that heart, and you'll see that we don't do anything with it. Now, it's always good to test and make sure what you wanted to happen also you didn't break. So let's go get hurt. Okay, I've got a couple of hurts. I want to go find a heart. Oh, that one disappeared on me. Go, 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 go. There we go. Oh, I'm not getting them. Oh, there I did. I think that other one, I must have some bad timing. There we go. I've got my hearts back. Okay. Another way you could test that if you really were having some bad luck trying to get to them in time is just increase the amount of time until they disappear so that it's pretty high. Okay. So that is our game for now. And as I said, I'll do a couple more tutorials about some of the cool things you can do for making this game into several different varieties of games. We can turn it into asteroids, as I said. We could spawn lots and lots of hippos and see how high we could get our number, our timer to count before we died. We could turn it into, as it says, an adventure game by having different maps on our screens and going into different screens and changing the backdrops as we go off screen. So there are a number of ways we can adjust this, and I will talk a little bit about those. Those tutorials will be a little bit less rehearsed, and I'll just kind of do things as I go along, so you can see some of the ways I think about doing games, and see some of the mistakes I make along the way and fix. So go ahead and tune back in for those, but it might be a couple of days before we get to those because I have some other things I want to do as well. So thank you for watching.